Good afternoon or good evening, Facebook. You got Skip Bayless coming to you live from the west side of Los Angeles after the first two rounds of the NFL games today, and after that debacle that we heard via ESPN, Selection Committee, Ohio State, Alabama. Seriously, I'm about to unleash my early thoughts on all of the above ahead of Undisputed tomorrow on Fox Sports 1. 9:30 to noon Eastern time, but a quick cameo from someone who's been watching the games with me all day long. She's had enough football, actually, for now. We've got the Spurs game on against the Thunder. I'll be getting back to that in just a second. I won't stay with you too long, but here is our daughter, quote unquote. Hi. It's Hazel. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, she likes to clean my nose before Facebook just in case I have anything on my nose that would be untoward. Hazel's our, year and a month old Maltese. She gets her cameo because she's the star of this household. Thank you to my wife, Ernestine. We don't have any children, but now we got one who dominates our lives. Hazel, thank you, Ernestine. Now, before I get to the NFL stories of the day, and there were a bunch of them, before I get to Gronkowski, Brady, Marcus Peters, Josh Gordon, I got to get this off my chest early. I'm going to save all the gory details for tomorrow up against my man Alabama, Shannon Sharp. I'm about to troll Tide here because the more I think about this, the worse it gets. This is the all-time travesty. I think, honestly, that Nick Saban runs college football. That's all I can figure out is he's got tentacles into that committee. They're afraid of him. They want Bama in the Final Four. I don't know what it is, but Ohio State is just simply better than Alabama. Eye test better than Alabama. Alabama has had a bunch of injuries at linebacker. They say they might get one of their kids back in a month. Who cares? It's what just happened. And why wouldn't I say, well, J.T. Barrett just had to play a whole game against the arch-rival Michigan with torn cartilage, played pretty well, played really well, then got it scoped, and then he struggled a little bit against Wisconsin. Everybody would struggle against Wisconsin. I don't believe Alabama could have beaten Wisconsin. I've been watching them for the last month. They are a really good, really well coached by Jimmy Leonard, their defensive coordinator. He used to play for the Jets and other teams, but was a really savvy, smart defensive back, safety in pro football. Now is a very young coach as the coordinator of Wisconsin. They do a really good job. Ohio State is loaded with talent. The defensive and offensive lines are just better than Alabama's. I'm sorry, they're just better. And I know Ohio State has been hit and miss, but if you're just going eye test, all I know is that, yeah, they got rocked by 31 at Iowa. Iowa's pretty good. So Alabama got rocked by Auburn. It was at Auburn. I get that. Auburn was really good. I felt sorry for Auburn last night because without Kerryon Johnson, who banged up both of his shoulders, obviously against Alabama, it was just hard for them to compete against a Georgia team that got its revenge, obviously on a neutral field, although it was probably weighted a little bit toward the Georgia crowd. But this is just all-time shameful for college football because Ohio State did beat Penn State when Penn State was riding high, did beat Michigan State, did play in what is ranked by all the stats as the toughest conference in America, the Big Ten, and now the Big Ten has no rep in the Final Four, and the SEC, which is rated the fourth best conference in the country, has 2 representatives in the Final Four. That's just Nick Saban. That's just outrageous. I don't know what influence. He admitted he tried to influence the committee through all of his public speeches that he gave, pro-Alabama, anti-Ohio State. I realize Ohio State lost to these guys at home, but these guys are really good. I think these guys are the best team in college football, and as Urban Meyer said, he's never had a quarterback play an an opposing quarterback play a better game against any team he's ever coached than Baker Mayfield did. So that brings me to Baker Mayfield. You know what I'm hoping for here? I just hope that somehow Alabama wins its trilogy game against Clemson, which it should have a chance to do, because Kelly Bryant's pretty good. He can run. He's probably a little faster than Deshaun was at Clemson, but is Alabama like 50-50 with Clemson? Clemson's a loaded football team, both of its trenches. But let's just say I'm going to be rooting now for Alabama to win its semifinal. Obviously, I was born and raised an Oklahoma fan in Oklahoma City. My grandfather took me to my first game when I think I was 5. I won't tell you what the game was because it was a disaster, but I just got it in my blood. I can't help it. I went away to school to Vanderbilt, but just diehard OU my whole life. Anybody who went to Vanderbilt with me will tell you all I did was root for OU because that was in their glory days. And I just hope that Oklahoma can get by Georgia. I'm pretty sure they can, and that Baker Mayfield gets to plant his flag on Nick Saban's defense, because he will torch Nick Saban's defense, which is eminently torchable in big game after big game after big game, especially against a quarterback who can throw it a little bit. And Baker Mayfield can wing it a whole lot. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to tomorrow because I'm going to crush Shannon Sharp on this. I'm going to run over him. I'm going to bury him. I'm going to bury Bama's case and make Ohio State's. And the great irony here is that people know me back to the days that I used to pinch hit often for Jim Rome on his radio show. It was sort of a running gag that I was anti-Buckeyes, or as I used to call them, the Luckeyes. And in this case, I got your back, Ohio State, because this is just... it's just pathetic. I thought it was a done deal. And so many of the analysts, including our Joel Klatt at Fox and FS1, just thought it was a done deal that Ohio State was playing for a berth in the Final Four last night against Wisconsin. Joel did that game with Gus Johnson. And I just have no idea. I did not see this coming. It is just so wrong. And I'm going to save all my ammo for tomorrow because I don't want to give it away, because I know a lot of people watching try to feed it to Shannon Sharp. So I'm just teasing this, but Shannon knows I'm already dug in on my position, which is Ohio State belonged in this tournament. On to the NFL. When I first saw the Gronkowski hit at Buffalo on Tre'Davious White, kid from LSU, it looked outrageously wrong and dirty. And then as I began to watch different replays of it, it wasn't quite as dirty as I thought it was going to be, because it looked like Gronk actually cocked his right arm to throw a big punch. It looked like he was going to throw a punch, like he just lost it for a second. And he air punched with his right hand. He pulled his punch with his right hand, but his left forearm came down on the back of White's head, or sort of the side of it, and banged it off the turf. And obviously he was a defenseless player because he wasn't even looking to get hit, because he was on his back and he had, as they say, given up on the play after he intercepted a pass into the wind by Tom Brady, during which Tre'Davious White held Gronkowski all the way up the field. So Gronk just lost it for a second because he'd also been called for an offensive pass interference earlier in the game. And so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, or that I thought it was when I first watched it live, but it was still completely out of control. And White was woozy as he got up and had to be helped off the field. And his teammates, such as Micah Hyde, were just outraged, as they should have been, because I don't know that Gronk. Gronk said that wasn't like him. Bill Belichick said he was shocked and apologized after the game to several Buffalo coaches, and Sean McDermott, number one, when they shook hands. But I don't know what possessed him, and I also don't know what possessed the referees not to toss Gronkowski. I don't know if they thought he had been beaten up on. It's sort of we talk about this with LeBron. It's the LeBron syndrome, which I always say is basically the Shaquille O'Neal syndrome. The Shaq syndrome is that the big guy just is fair game. You can just beat on him, you can foul him, you can hold him, you can grab him, you can pass interfere with him, and nobody's going to call it because he's whatever Gronk is. He's 6'6" or whatever he is. Like Tony Romo was talking on the game today, like he's 8 feet tall. Seems even taller in pads than he and helmet, obviously, than he is. But this is just my gut feeling right here, right now. I don't think you can suspend him for that. I think you can fine him heavily, but if you didn't throw him out, I don't understand how you can suspend. It just makes the NFL look bad, unless they want to do a makeup call. I have no idea. Quick thought on Tom Brady barking back at Josh McDaniels. What was Josh McDaniels doing? This is the greatest quarterback ever. This is a guy who made you. This is a guy who got you a job in Denver because you were his quarterback coach in the first go-around in New England. And I think Josh McDaniels is really bright, clever, head of the curve. I get all that. He calls the plays for Tom Brady, though Tom Brady uncalls a lot of them at the line of scrimmage. And yet, Tom Brady missed an open receiver over on the left sideline. And then he threw a pass, and again, it was a very blustery, windy day in Buffalo, on which he missed Brandon Cooks. And I think that maybe Josh McDaniels was referring to the wide-open receiver that he just didn't see over on the sideline. And anyway, they're always on TV. They know they're on TV when Brady leaves the field especially. And he looks at him like, man, what do you had it. You didn't. And he showed him up. And you can't show him up, man. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't do that to Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was completely within his rights to run past Josh McDaniels and turn around and say, yeah, what? And just he lost it for a second because you got Psycho Tom going on, especially when you're playing division rival. And Brady's a maniac. He's win at all costs, man. He's going to win every possession, every play. And there's nobody more driven than Tom Brady. And so you can't go in his zone and rattle him like that. And he turned around and went off on Josh McDaniels, but then, I don't know, 5 minutes later, they're sitting next to each other on the bench going over plays. So the beauty of Tom Brady is he doesn't carry it forward. He can shake it right off, and it actually just propels him. It detonates him even more than usual into Psycho Tom, and obviously it didn't affect his performance, which in the wind I thought was pretty good today. Pretty good. Not a great game, but he did what he had to do. Threw a few nice passes into and with the wind, and made all the plays that had to get made, and New England took care of business at Buffalo, as they've been doing for year after year after year. Now, to the Kansas City Jets game. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like the Kansas City collapse. They go to Foxborough on opening Thursday night back in early September, and they do an all-time number on Brady and Belichick. And Brady played the worst fourth quarter of his career, and we discovered Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and Alex Smith looked like Joe Montana, and it was the height of the Kansas City Chiefs. And now I'm looking back at it like the game a few years back. There was a turning point for the Patriots. I forget what the final score was. What was it? 38. I forget. 38-6 or whatever it was at Kansas City. Remember on that Monday night when afterward I'm watching ESPN and there are like 4 analysts standing out on the field, and I will not name them, but they all said it's over for the Patriots. This is the 2014 season, pretty early, like in October. And all 4 analysts said it's over for Tom Brady. Belichick never surrounded him with enough help, and it's pathetic to watch, and they are dead in the water, and the dynasty is done. And a couple of months later, Tom Brady was playing the greatest fourth quarter in Super Bowl history against the Legion of Boom. I think it was like 14 out of 16 passes in the fourth. Maybe it was 12 out of 14 for 130 yards, whatever. It was just all time. And he did his part, obviously, to rally and win the game, won Super Bowl MVP. It obviously took Seattle's choice to throw it instead of run it or roll out Russell Wilson at the end of the game. And they dodged that bullet with the interception by Malcolm Butler out of West Alabama, undrafted, rookie from nowhere. But the point was, it looks like another Kansas City game has launched actually the Patriots, and from there, obviously Kansas City rolled on to 5-0, and then the wheels fell completely off, and now they're 6-6. And now Marcus Peters, probably you could argue their best player on defense. Boy, that night, remember, it's like they won the battle, lost the war, because Eric Berry, their stud safety, had done such a number on Gronkowski that opening Thursday night, and then at the end of the game, he's lost for the season, and it was sad to watch. And I said the next day on Undisputed, they are going to miss him dearly going forward, and they may miss Marcus Peters. Boy, I got to say, I know they're in trouble, but he just quit on his team, and Andy Reid tried to cover for him after the game and say, he didn't understand whether he's ejected or not, but he got mad at calling the end zone, picked up the yellow flag, heaved it up in the stands, thought he was ejected according to Andy Reid, but he wasn't ejected. And here they went, and he just walks and walks and walks and walks all the way past the bench and walks all the way up the tunnel into the locker room. And somebody has to go tell him, no, you're still afloat, you're still eligible to play. And he comes back out without his cleats on. And he's jawing with the Jets fans. It's a terrible look, but he just quit on his team. And I'm sure a lot of players felt like quitting today on the Kansas City Chiefs. One guy who came from nowhere today for me, and I gotta shout him out, man, is Josh Gordon. I got to know him back in my days at ESPN. I really like him. He is deeply troubled, as we all know. And it was just last summer, he's hanging with Johnny Manziel, not too far from where I'm speaking to you right now, in West Hollywood. They're living together, and they are partying hard together. I mean hard. I underline that word hard, as in, we're not talking about just smoking a little dope. It was some bad stuff that was going on. And I'm sure Josh still has his demons, and he came from I didn't even think he had a chance to get back into football. And today, not only was he back in football, he looked a lot like Josh Gordon. It's like been close to 3 years, I think, since he's played football in the National Football League. And now he's in a game against the Chargers, who have a really good defense, and they have the best cornerback in pro football in Casey Hayward from Vanderbilt University. And he was giving Casey Hayward all he wanted. And I'm flipping back. I got all kinds of TVs going on here, and I wasn't locked into that game, but every time I looked up, Josh Gordon was making another play, and he made a late play that put him in position to get back in the game. It was like a 40-yard pass, and he looked just as big, just as fast, just as strong as he ever did, and yet he looked like he's carrying a few extra pounds because there's no way he could be in peak shape just yet. And it looked like Josh Gordon is back. God bless him. He's back. And I'm just hoping, for his sake, he can keep the demons at bay. And I couldn't do this quick Facebook Live here without talking about my Dallas Cowboys, who are also back on the map. I watched much of Giants at Oakland, and my takeaway from that game is they started the Giants' Geno Smith. The Cowboys can win at Giants, and they can definitely win at Oakland. I just think they can. I think they're two troubled teams. Ended up 24-17, and Geno made some plays that were pretty surprising because the Raiders are really struggling. The Raiders are afloat. The Raiders have lots of incentive. They got lots to play for. Would that bring them up to 6-6? So now everybody's 6-6. Chargers 6-6. I picked the Chargers before the year to quote unquote steal the AFC West, which I thought was going to be the best division in football, and has turned out to be the worst division in football. and it's up for grabs except for the Denver Broncos. Shannon Sharp's pick to win the division. I forget what they fell to today. Was it 3-9 or whatever? They got routed by Jay Cutler and company in Miami. So much for the Denver Broncos. But my Cowboys are back on the map, back on track, back with a little hope after that tour de force win over the rival Redskins on Thursday night. But now Orlando Scandrick is hurt again. Transverse process in his back. He's got 2 small cracks in his back, so they say. Had a broken hand earlier this year. Now he's going to miss a game or 2. I've seen quarterbacks have this injury and actually play with this injury, but they're saying he's going to miss a game or 2. Again, we had the emergence of Awuzie the other night. He's been gone with a bad hamstring for, I don't know what it's been, the last 6-8 games. And he was sensational, and Jordan Lewis continues to play at a high level. So will it hurt? Yeah, it will hurt not to have him. Maybe it's just not meant to be. I don't know. But I love the way the Cowboys played on Thursday night. I like the way they ran the ball. I like the way Dak big play threw the ball, clutch through the ball. I love the way the pass rush rushed, albeit against a decimated Washington offensive line. But I love the way the defense took the ball away 4 times, almost 5 times, which they have not done for a long, long time. And I love the way the special teams were very special. So that team is going to feel very good about itself as it goes up to play the Giants. I don't know if Ben McAdoo is going to be gone by then. I don't know if it'll be Geno Smith or Davis Webb will get a shot. Whatever. I like our chances. I like our chances, much tougher, but I like our chances against Oakland, at Oakland. I like our chances against Seattle. We're about to watch them here tonight against Philadelphia, and I am rooting for the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly tonight. I need you to take care of Seattle, who's, 7-4. You got to drop them 7-5. This wild card is going to be an uphill battle. Deck is stacked against the Dallas Cowboys. They need lots and lots of help, and ironically, they need help from the Eagles. Eagles, please beat Seattle so that my team has a chance to eke into the back door of the playoffs, because nobody would want to play my team if, in fact, Sean Lee gets healthy and comes back and Zeke Elliott comes back against Seattle in a couple more games. Fly, Eagles, fly. I will see you tomorrow on Undisputed. We are back live at 6:30 this time, 9:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Sorry we weren't there on Friday. I hope you caught our little Facebook Live that we did, Shannon and I. Didn't have Joy Taylor, who was off for that day, but Joy will be back. We plan to be back tomorrow, 9:30 to noon Eastern time. We're going to do lots of Ohio State versus Alabama. I can't wait to hear what a weak case Mr. Roll Tide tries to make for Nick Saban, except that he's just St. Nick and he controls college football. It's as simple as that. Way to go. Troll Tide. I will see you all tomorrow at 9:30 until noon Eastern time. Undisputed. Fox Sports 1 over and out.